Rajni, what's wrong?
Tom, I have a script and I don't know what to do with it. Should I burn it? Feed it to my cat?
You need some writers group therapy.
Hello and welcome to Writers Group Therapy.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Roshni. We're writers helping writers. Ready for your session? The doctors are in. So a little bit ago we talked about how to get ideas, but now you have all these ideas. What do you do with them? Where do you put them? How do you stay organized?
Yeah, I got a shoebox. I just stuffed them all in. No, this is the everyone should have an idea file. That's probably the most important tool for a writer is to have an idea file. And I keep mine in Apple Notes. I used to use Evernote too because they all sync. That way, if you're on your phone or if you're on the run and you come up with an idea, you can type it into your phone and then it syncs to your computer and backs it up, so you can keep all your ideas and have them all accessible all the time.
Yeah, I've tried electronic files. It doesn't work for me. I need to write it down in order to remember. So I've actually got a section in my planner dedicated to writing ideas, and every so often I'll look it over, and if any of them jump out at me, I'll work on them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Every so often I go back through this idea file that has over 100 ideas in it. Like I said, we get ideas from all over the place, but some of them are long, some of them are one sentence. But once I put an idea in there, it kind of sticks in my brain, like you said. Once you write it down, you think about it, and then as I come up with more ideas to add to that or expand on it, I go back and I add articles and links and other tidbits and characters I come up with and settings, and it kind of builds that idea file up.
Yeah, you get actually really detailed, because it's funny, when I was back when I was a songwriter, we had this kind of rule, unspoken: if it takes more than 20 minutes to write, then the song's not worth writing. So I kind of use that same rule with my writing. If I have an idea and it's not, after 3 days, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to write this idea. If I just sort of forget about it after 3 days, I usually don't end up writing it. The stuff that I've written is usually stuff that just sticks in my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's itching to get out. I have to put it on paper.
Yeah, I don't feel the same way about that. I'm completely the opposite. I go through my idea file every so often and read them over and see if any of those ideas, I might forget an idea that I thought of before, and now suddenly when I read it again, it kind of springs back to life, or I remember something else that I wanted to add to that concept. Also, some ideas just, are ahead of their time. Sometimes you have an idea for something and you think, well, that's kind of cool, but, and then something, could be years later, something happens in the world or something happens in your life, and suddenly that idea comes back to the top, and you're like, wait, this is perfect. I want to do this now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I keep everything, no matter how old it is, because you never know when it's going to wind up being useful.
Yeah, I keep it too, but I don't, unless I'm actually actively working on it, I don't flesh it out. Like, it sounds like you do research on it and stuff like that. I only start doing research if I'm really serious about actually fleshing out that idea. So most things are just a sentence in my planner, and then if I'm like, oh yeah, that one's still sticking out to me and saying, hey, write me, then that's when I start doing all the research.
Yeah, I agree. I have some ideas. It's always kind of a fun exercise to go back through your ideas and reread them, because at the time it might have seemed like this great idea that you had, and then you read it now and you're like, what was I thinking? It's like, because you don't know what state of mind you were in when you wrote it or whatever. But and then sometimes sometimes when I have crazy ideas and I do write them down, sometimes later I go back and now I've the idea, no matter how crazy it was, is matured into something that you can actually work with too. So it works both ways. But just reviewing them just keeps you you don't want to forget things that you came up with a long time ago, because you might have had an idea a long time ago that, like I said, now it becomes more relevant, or it becomes something like, oh, I can use that. I was looking for something like this and I forgot I had that idea. So, or it might spark new ideas, of course. So
yeah. And it might even be useful to look at it, and you might not be able to do anything with it, but if you co-write, your co-writer might be like, oh, I have a great idea on how to take this,
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, it was a random thought to me. So you never know. It could be good for collaboration as well.
Yeah, in fact, that would be a great writing prompt too, and maybe we should try that in our writers group, is have people pick random weird ideas out of their idea file that they've never done anything with, and see what the group thinks about it. Kind of like almost an improv kind of like, well, if this was the idea, what do you think would happen?
Yeah. You never know. So what do you guys think? What is the wackiest idea in your idea file? Tweet it at us at WG Therapy. Check us out online at writersgrouptherapy.com. We'll have show notes for today's episode up there. And if you like what you hear, subscribe and share it with your friends. We'll see you next week.